That's exactly what our message today will make you feel. Know that no darkness can last forever, that the truth will shine sooner or later. That brightness will touch you too, dispelling all the fog in your life. The light in you can no longer be hidden, because this new beginning opens the doors of divine justice and spiritual power wide open. Get ready. Write 555 in the comments now, because today, the Sun of Truth will touch even your darkest corners. Imagine a sunrise after a long, restless night. The kind of dawn that breaks through even the thickest fog, shining so bright it leaves no room for secrets to hide. The light doesn't apologize for its arrival, it simply fills every shadow, revealing what's been concealed and setting the world right again. That's what happens when spiritual truth steps onto the stage. There's no debate, no negotiation, just a gentle but undeniable exposure of every hidden thing. The wheel of fate has turned in a way no one predicted, unraveling the careful deceptions of those who sought to undermine your name. Where once a false friend tried to claim loyalty, now their voice is stripped away in the glare of truth. All the stories spun in the shadows have come crashing down, replaced by a storm of revelation so intense that even the boldest deceivers are left speechless. The scales are tipping, and the reckoning is as fierce as it is final, leaving no stone unturned, no mask unbroken, as the truth sweeps through the lives it touches. You see, endurance is never built in the comfort of the crowd. It's hammered out in the wilderness, those places where only you and God know the price you paid to keep standing. The ones who tried to drag your name through the mud underestimated the depth of your roots and the height of your calling. For years, they might have looked at you and seen only the surface, never realizing the depth of divine purpose quietly rising within you. But like a mighty oak whose roots reached deep beneath the soil, you stood firm while the storms raged. Every lie thrown your way was just another storm cloud passing over a tree that had already weathered much worse. The ones who built their house on sand watched as their plans washed away when the spiritual flood arrived. But you, built on solid ground, remained, testifying to the power of faith and spiritual resilience. Now, the wind is changing. Old alliances forged in secrecy are coming apart. The false comforters, the ones who whispered in darkness, find themselves exposed under a heavenly spotlight they cannot escape. There's no more hiding behind rehearsed kindness or masks of concern. Each attempt to cover their schemes with charm or false humility is undone, not by your retaliation, but by the natural force of spiritual law working in your favor. These revelations are not about vengeance, they are about restoration. Where your reputation was once bruised, now it's being polished by the very trials they sent your way. It's as if heaven has written your story in bold for the world to read, declaring that what was meant to bury you has only served to plant you deeper and raise you higher. Every false word has become a stepping stone, every plot against you a lesson that lifted you above the noise. Some who once cheered in the crowd have turned silent, unsure how to react to your rising. That's because true elevation doesn't require a spotlight. It's seen most clearly when you move with quiet dignity, trusting that what is for you can't be stolen or destroyed. Those who tried to claim your crown are learning the hard way that spiritual inheritance cannot be taken by force. It's assigned by the hand of destiny, guarded by grace, and revealed in divine timing. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. And as this spiritual dawn spreads, those who clung to lies find themselves unable to hold on to the story they created. Their influence fades, their alliances unravel, and the room they once controlled is filled with a presence they cannot dismiss. The very people they tried to sway now question what was true all along. Their voices grow faint, not because you silenced them, but because the truth itself has a sound that cannot be counterfeited. In this season, blessings begin to gather at your feet. Not just the restoration of what was taken, but the multiplication of what was always promised. You're not just receiving back what you lost, you're walking into new opportunities, new favor, new connections that were waiting for this very moment. Doors that were shut swing wide open, and those who once turned away now seek your wisdom and your presence. Every moment you spent in isolation has become a seed, and now the harvest is ready. The harvest doesn't come to those who chase applause, but to those who stayed faithful in the shadows, trusting that their story was being written by a hand greater than their own. While others fought to control the narrative, you let go and let God set the stage. There's a sacred reversal happening. Where you were once questioned, now you're the answer. Where you were once overlooked, now you're sought out. The ones who laughed at your faith are now witnesses to your breakthrough. This is the turning of the tide, the fulfillment of the promise that no weapon formed against you would prosper. Every plot has fallen flat. Every accusation is now a testimony to your strength. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. As the dust settles, there's a new peace that surrounds you. Not the kind that comes from circumstances, but the kind that lives inside a heart fully anchored in purpose. The people who once caused confusion now find themselves confused. The ones who spread uncertainty now live with uncertainty. But you rise, steady as the morning, shining brighter with every step. This is your divine season of unveiling. Every disappointment was an appointment with destiny. Every closed door was protection. Every betrayal was an invitation to trust deeper, to love stronger, and to live more boldly. What they meant for harm, heaven has turned for your good. Now let your testimony speak, not from a place of bitterness, but from the abundance of wisdom, grace, and favor you've gathered along the way. So, walk forward. The sunrise is yours. The storm has passed. Your life is the evidence that the righteous are never forsaken, and that those who hold fast to their purpose will see every chain broken and every truth revealed in the fullness of time. Picture a garden after a long, silent storm. The rain has stopped, but the ground is littered with the things that the flood dragged out of hiding. What was buried beneath the surface, old roots, broken branches, bits of stone, and forgotten tools, now lies exposed in the daylight. Nothing that was hidden remains untouched by the cleansing waters. In the spiritual life, this is how truth works. It washes through quietly at first, but eventually everything comes into view. The very floods meant to drown your purpose are the ones that reveal what was holding you back all along. Every twisted rumor, every sly manipulation is surfacing like debris after a flood. The person who once claimed to stand by your side is now the instrument of exposure. setting fire to the lies and forcing those who schemed to face the reality they never wanted to see. Words once whispered as weapons now boomerang, and the betrayer is left defenseless, forced to witness the unraveling of their carefully constructed facade. The pain is raw, the anger is palpable, and the separation between what is real and what is counterfeit becomes unmistakably clear. You've always known that true strength isn't about never being challenged. It's about surviving the tempests that others thought would ruin you. Those who tried to build barriers with gossip now see their handiwork collapsing. Every secret spoken in shadow becomes thunder on the horizon. It's not your voice that's toppling their schemes. It's the resonance of truth echoing through the very halls where your name was once whispered in suspicion. What they called your downfall was nothing but the beginning of their own reckoning. They imagined themselves as the architects of your defeat, but the foundation they built was made of sand, not stone. Now, the tides have turned. Every accusation, every sly look, every attempt to erase your legacy only adds another brick to the altar of your testimony. While they were busy painting you as the villain, heaven was scripting your victory. When deception is finally exposed, it doesn't do so quietly. It comes with the crash of glass, the rending of old curtains, the spotlight sweeping through places where shadows have lingered for far too long. The mask falls, not with a whisper, but with a shattering force that no one can deny. The ones who were eager to see your undoing now stand in the middle of their own collapse, unable to defend the illusions they worked so hard to maintain. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. In these moments, the pain runs deep, but it is the pain of cleansing, not of destruction. The difference between what is authentic and what is manufactured becomes obvious to everyone watching. The love that was genuine outlasts the schemes that were temporary. The faith that was forged in darkness now shines, untarnished, while every lie withers in the light of day. You walk forward, not with bitterness, but with a spirit renewed by revelation. Where others might have turned to vengeance, you choose release. You let the cleansing waters of truth carry away the debris, clearing space for a garden more beautiful than anything that came before. Even those who betrayed you become footnotes in the larger story of your overcoming, a reminder that nothing formed against you can prosper when your roots run deep in purpose. There is a peace that rises, slow but sure, as the dust settles and the ruins become fertile ground for new growth. What was intended to destroy you has instead cultivated a space for miracles. Out of the ashes, something sacred begins to grow. Every tear you cried in secret is now watering the seeds of a new beginning. The people who doubted your resilience are witnessing a transformation they can't explain. What they tried to bury now stands taller than ever. Let the world see the difference between borrowed light and the fire that comes from within. The ones who borrowed their shine from your glow are left in darkness when the lamp of truth is lit. You're not here to explain yourself or to fight for the approval of those who could never see your worth. You're here to thrive, to shine, and to remind the world that chosen ones are chosen not for comfort, but for purpose. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. So let every rumor rise and fall like the tide. Let every manipulator face the wind they once sent in your direction. The garden of your spirit is blooming, wild, and unstoppable, in soil that was once soaked by tears and prayers. No storm can wash away what has been planted by faith. You are living proof that the greatest separations reveal the strongest roots. What was real cannot be shaken, and what was false cannot survive in the light. The journey has been long, the pain unforgettable, but the victory, oh, the victory, is the kind that turns even your critics into silent witnesses. The chapter of counterfeit connections is closed. Ahead of you is the wide, sunlit field of authentic love, divine justice, and unbreakable blessing. And every step you take from here on is guided by the hand of a higher power, watched over by a universe that refuses to let you fall. Imagine a river that's been dammed up by 100 hands, each one certain they could stop its flow. But what they don't realize is that living water, the kind that's fed by the rain of heaven, never stops moving for long. Stones and sticks may block it for a season, but when the moment is right, the current gathers itself, quiet at first, then roaring, until every obstacle is swept downstream. That's the force of truth. It waits, it builds, and then it breaks through, washing away everything that was never meant to last. What's unfolding here isn't just another argument or a clash of opinions. It's the collapse of an entire illusion. It's as if the world was watching a play, convinced by the actors and the scenery, until a strong wind blew the curtains apart and revealed the stagehands in the shadows, scrambling to hold up cardboard walls. What once seemed solid is now exposed for the flimsy construction it always was. The stories told in hushed corners, the secret strategies built on envy and half-truths. None of it can withstand the kind of love that refuses to be bent, broken, or bought. The one who once hid behind masks and carefully rehearsed scripts now stands alone in the ruins of their own design. Every lie they told, every alliance they forged on the shaky ground of insecurity is now trembling. It's not anger that's brought them low. It's the quiet, unstoppable power of authenticity. Because the bond that was tested, the connection they tried to poison, has proved stronger than any weapon they could wield. Where they expected division, they found unity. Where they expected defeat, they discovered resilience. There's a deep kind of justice at work here, but it doesn't come from revenge. It's the justice that comes when light meets shadow, when the truth steps out, and every hidden thing is forced to show its true colors. You see it in the way rumors fade, the way false friends find themselves speechless, the way every plot is undone by the very force it was designed to resist. The fortress built on envy was never a home. It was a prison, and now it's coming down, stone by stone. This isn't a story of gloating over someone's downfall. It's a testimony to the enduring power of the spirit, the quiet strength of a soul that won't be swayed by other people's opinions, won't be swept away by drama, won't exchange its peace for chaos. This is what happens when a person is rooted in something real, something deeper than applause or approval. When you're anchored in purpose, when your faith is not just a Sunday show, but a daily walk, no storm can uproot you. The crumbling of illusions is not a loss, it's a liberation. What is swept away was never really yours to carry. The weight of other people's projections, the burden of their expectations, the confusion of their envy, all of it is being washed downstream with the flood. What remains is what's always been there, the steady, unshakable core of who you are. You don't need to defend yourself or wage war against gossip. You don't need to prove your worth to people who could never see it. The battle is not yours, and it never was. It belongs to the one who sees in secret, who brings every hidden thing into the light, who makes rivers in the desert and brings rain to the parched ground. Your role is to keep standing, keep loving, keep shining, not because it's easy, but because it's who you were created to be. So let them build their fortresses on sand. Let them write their scripts and practice their lines. When the truth comes rolling in, all those walls will fall with a single touch, and what's left will be the foundation you built when no one else was looking. Faith, hope, and a love that can't be moved. The time has come for everything false to be swept away. The masquerade is over. The show is finished. What stands now is what's real, and that's more than enough. You are not here by accident. You're not the product of someone else's approval or a character in someone else's play. You are chosen, called, and kept, planted by streams of living water, bearing fruit in every season, unshaken by drought or flood. Those who tried to steal your story find they never understood the plot. Those who tried to take your place realize there was never room for their games in a story this genuine. What's unfolding is not just your victory, but the unveiling of truth for everyone to see. It's the world discovering that love, real, unshakable love, cannot be dismantled, divided, or dismissed. Let the river run. Let the fortress fall. What remains is what was meant to last, a spirit made whole, a purpose unbroken, a destiny unstoppable. And in that open field, where all pretense is gone, you stand tall, not because you won a war, but because you refused to let anything false define you. Behind every mask, a motive is revealed. The imposter who paraded as trustworthy is now seen for who they are, their credibility dissolving with every exposed falsehood. Those once convinced by their charm now recognize the truth, and the power of pretense evaporates under the scrutiny of honesty. Even as they point fingers and shift blame, the real story emerges. Strength doesn't need validation, and real connections are forged in fire, not in whispers or staged sympathy. Underhanded tactics crumble in the light of day. Attempts to force loyalty through guilt, sympathy, or illusion have failed. All their rehearsed emergencies and staged crises are now seen as desperate ploys, not genuine calls for help. When they tried to mimic what was real with their borrowed gestures and empty words, they inadvertently summoned a force greater than themselves, a protection born not of ritual, but of purpose. The true guardians of your journey rise up, not by invitation, but by right, shielding what was always sacred. Sudden understanding flashes like lightning. Clues once ignored now fit together, forming a complete picture for all to see. Old suspicions, gut feelings, and subtle warnings are remembered in sharp detail. The manipulator's hold is broken in an instant of undeniable awareness, and the fog of confusion is burned away. The final confrontation is not a battle, but a revelation, and nothing will ever be the same for those who have seen the truth. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. The fallout reaches farther than any one relationship. Those who supported the deception, knowingly or not, are left questioning themselves. Guilt and regret settle heavily on the shoulders of those who realize too late the role they played. Friendships and alliances built on fragile trust fracture, as everyone reckons with their own complicity in supporting a lie. Bonds that once seemed unbreakable are tested, and only those rooted in truth will survive the storm. Desperation breeds new tactics as the manipulator finds themselves cornered. Their strategy shifts to emotional outbursts, calculated guilt trips, and appeals for pity. They scramble to hold on to whatever influence remains, but the tide has turned. Attempts to shift blame or invent new stories fall flat, as the eyes of those around them have opened. Even their most impassioned pleas can't rewrite the history now playing out before a wary audience. A profound quiet settles after the chaos. Instead of fighting, those wronged choose calm detachment. No argument is needed. The silence speaks louder than any defense. The manipulator's frantic energy dissipates into emptiness, and they are left performing for an audience that has already moved on. In that stillness, dignity is reclaimed, and the wounds begin to heal. A new kind of clarity emerges. The lessons of this ordeal are not lost. Wisdom sharpens, intuition is trusted, and boundaries are redrawn. The survivor steps forward with a keener sense of what's real and what's false, not only in love, but in every corner of life. What was once painful confusion is replaced by discernment, and every future connection is filtered through the hard-won lens of experience. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Where imitation fails, authenticity thrives. The difference between a bond born of manipulation and one forged in truth becomes the brightest beacon. Peace returns, unforced and untainted. The survivor stands as a testament to what it means to endure, to heal, and to love without needing to possess or control. What once seemed lost is found again, more resilient and more beautiful for the trial it has endured. Justice moves in quiet, inevitable ways. The attempt to distort destiny has only magnified its power. All the energy poured into sabotage rebounds, marking the downfall of those who chose deception over honesty. The lesson is clear. You cannot rewrite what is written in spirit, and every plot hatched in darkness will be undone by the light of what's true. The tale spreads far beyond the original players. The community now bears witness, not just to the fallout, but to the restoration that follows. Conversations shift, stories are set straight, and those who once doubted are now defenders. The manipulator's tricks become cautionary tales, warnings to others to stay vigilant and trust their instincts. A horizon of hope opens. What was lost to betrayal is replaced by a new chapter built on real foundations. The survivor steps into their power, no longer defined by past wounds, but by a renewed sense of purpose. The schemes that were meant to tear down have instead revealed hidden strengths and opened doors to deeper, more honest relationships. Triumph is not found in a moment of applause, but in the enduring strength to stand unshaken. The true victory is seen in the freedom to move forward, the quiet joy of being able to love, trust, and hope again. The past is no longer a shadow, but a stepping stone, one that proves nothing can stand against what is truly destined. Trust in the process that has brought you here. What was meant for harm is transformed into fuel for greater purpose. The very protection you needed has always been present, orchestrating events with perfect timing. In the end, what belongs to you cannot be lost, and the future that awaits is brighter than anything left behind.